I had a great time, and I'm having a good time now. When I read somebody putting it down and saying, that was no good, that music stunk or anything, that makes me feel like sad, you know? That's like somebody take you out to dinner and you think you had a great time, and at the end of the night they go, hey, you know what, I had a really lousy time. And you know what? You're lousy too, but thanks for dinner. I think the Van Halens forgot where they came from. I keep reading all these stories about, we used to be a Volkswagen with Dave, but now with our new singer, we're a Porsche, a Porsche, a Porsche. That's all they think about is Porsche, Ferrari, and that's exactly what they went for. They went and they did the kind of music that will get you that kind of car. And if mine's a Volkswagen, well then there's a whole lot more people in my back seat than you'll ever find in your fancy French car. People are always asking me, Dave, is it rock and roll or movies? Look, I'm not an actor. I've said it a million times. If I'd wanted to be a movie star, if I'd wanted to be any kind of an acting movie star, I would have taken one of the hundreds of offers that have been coming into our offices for years now. And they come from all kinds of people, big directors, little directors. I would have taken one of them. And the people who keep telling you that I left the Van Halen band to be a movie star know that. And it's a situation where I wanted to fill a little bit of time and put an hour and a half worth of rock and roll on film for you. I wasn't going to be the only one in the movie. That's why we had our big casting call. So when we do a movie, it's going to be pure rock and roll, and you're invited. People say to me all the time, Dave, what about your ego? No blondes on tour, no blondes allowed on stage. I'm reading this kind of garbage in all kinds of magazines now, and it's coming from the same two guys again and again and again. And, you know, that's a big part of the reason that I left Van Halen is that kind of dishonesty. I don't think the guys are being honest to themselves, and I know damn well they're not being honest to the audience here. As far as things like, Dave, what about no blondes on stage like that? Craig, come here. Where's Billy? Billy, come here for a second. Let me introduce you to a couple of guys from the new band here. This is Greg Bissonette, drummer of the Century right here. And this is Bad Billy Sheehan, our bass man extraordinaire.
How you doing?
Just goes to show, you know, sometimes you can't always believe what you read. People ask me, Dave, what was the first thing that you did when you left Van Halen? And the first thing and the last thing and the only thing that was always and is on my mind is I'm going to make a rock and roll band. Steve Vai is the kind of guitar player I call, his style, I call it, look, Ma, no hands. And you know, what I mean by that is, when you remember when you were a little kid, you'd go climb the tree and you'd stand on the skinniest little branch, man, the one that was guaranteed to snap off at some point in the very near future, and you'd stand on that one and go, look, Ma, no hands. Well, that's the way Stevie approaches his solos. That's the way Stevie approaches everything that he's playing on that axe.
How do I compare myself with Edward Van Halen? Well, we both play guitars. He's married, I'm not. No, all kidding aside, I mean, Edward is Edward. He's created a style that a lot of people are influenced by. I'm inspired by it myself. But now, I feel I have my own style, and I'm very happy to be in the situation where I get to express myself with that style. I don't think about anybody when I'm playing with Dave on stage. I don't think about what anybody else is thinking either.
People ask me, what kind of a bass player is Billy Sheehan really? Because there's all this mystique, you know, that surrounds him. He's been on the covers of all these magazines and never had a major album release yet until Eat 'Em and Smile, you know. And I tell him, Billy is the kind of guitar player, a bass player, that I call a white tiger. And if you see a white tiger come out of the trees, then at first you recognize most of the parts, but the colors are all different than from what you're usually used to seeing, see? So if you put on the Walkman or you stick your head in between the speakers and you listen to Eat 'Em and Smile, on any one of the given tunes, what you may initially perceive to be, oh, that's just the guitar, if you listen closely, you'll hear that very often it isn't, that it's the bass player.
Well, I have to say, playing in this band is literally a dream come true. For 10 years since I first saw Van Halen play, I went originally to see Eddie play guitar because I'm a musician type and all. And I found I was transfixed by this lead singer with his stories and his rap and his jumping around. He made the whole show so entertaining that it was literally a dream of mine to play with him. And when I finally got the call, it was mind-blowing. And now I'm with Steve Vai, who is an incredible genius, who's going to be teaching me a lot of things, I'm sure, with this next year, and some things on guitar, too. And our drummer, Greg, he's one of my favorite drummers.
Well, I used to play in my own band back in Detroit called Grand Circus Park, and we used to play a lot, you know, around town and stuff. And then I joined the Maynard Ferguson Big Band, you know, 18-piece ensemble and everything. But I'll always remember the first time my folks took me to see the Beatles. And I knew from the minute I saw Hard Day's Night and I saw those cats getting chased down the street by the girls, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life.
And I had to find the best drummer you could possibly find. Most people, that means drum machine. So I found a cat from the Maynard Ferguson Big Band, which again sounds real square until you check it out. That's 22 guys sitting up there on a bandstand with one little schlep in the back going, follow me, give me the ball. So I gave him the ball. I said, get on stage. We're leaving in 5 minutes. You know, people always figure the last thing that you do is all you do. I mean, that's the standard principle, right? So when people heard me come out with Just a Gigolo, you know, they figure, wow, Dave's just gonna do brass. That's all Dave's gonna do, just brass. And when he goes on the road, he's gonna take a hired hand studio band, you know, the cats with the glasses and the attitude, you know, and it'll just be like Sinatra time, you know. So we have a little bit of that element because that's part and parcel of rock and roll. Everything that I've ever done in my musical career was always in addition to, not instead of. So when it came time to make the Eat 'Em and Smile album, I didn't think of it in terms of having to transcend something that came in the past or having to beat something that I had projected for myself in the future. I just wanted to get a band together and bring them into the studio and hopefully record a band so that they would sound like they'd only been together for 5 minutes. Which the usual trick that people go for is to assemble a band and spend 6 months in the studio trying to make them sound like they've been together for 10 years.
Dave, to me, has been for me like a giant cheerleader. Whenever I play, whenever I do anything, he's always there saying, great, great, more of it, give me more of that. Whenever I do anything that I feel is, well, can I go this far? He goes, yeah, not only can you go that far, go that much farther.
Well, I'll tell you, when I first thought about, you know, we're going in the studio to record a new David Lee Roth album, I thought, gee, how is Ted Templeman going to have me record? You know, is he going to have me play with some kind of a set click track thing or use electronic this and that and this and that? And I said, gee, Ted, how should I go about it? Should I do this and that? He says, look, we're just going to go, we're going to play it as if it was just a live thing. We're going to capture the moment, and we're going to have you go ahead and play your real acoustic drums. We're going to get a killer sound on them. We're just going to play with that human feel that can, if it wants to breathe a little bit here and there, it can do that, like in the halftime section of Yankee Rose. Ding, dong, ding, dong. You can pull things back and forth and get that human feel and human sound, because that's what rock and roll is all about.
Well, for the most part, Dave and I wrote the music together, and that stuff just comes about by accident most of the time. I usually write songs pretty unorthodox than most people. I just pick up the guitar and the first thing that comes to mind is usually the best thing. And I'll play it for Dave, and we get a bunch of parts together, and he's pretty much like the ringleader, you know. Sometimes he's up in the kitchen and I'll just be downstairs with my amps way, way too loud, so you can hear it throughout the whole neighborhood. And I'll play. When he hears something he likes, he goes, stop, stop, comes running downstairs. What was that? And I'll go, it was this. And we look around. You like that? You like it? Yeah, that's good. So, you know, start building it after that.
Boy, did we have a good time making Yankee Rose. We booked a hall out in San Bernardino, California, which is like my backyard here in Los Angeles. And in fact, that's where I played at the S Festival. And we put out a thing on the radio stations, had like 4,000 of our closest friends come on out, and the people were just crazy.
I tell you, the best thing about doing the Yankee Rose video is getting on stage with David Lee Roth and seeing how he is in front of an audience. He really knows how to keep them going, and it was an amazing thing to watch. And I realized that he's the same way off as he is when he's on.
I'm excited about getting back out on stage. It's not nervous. It's the kind of excitement when you see something and you think, I'm going to go for that. I want to test myself. I want to be part of that. I want to share that. I want to take that home with me. I want to wake up next to it and buy it pancakes, man. And that's where I'm at for going on the road. And now it's been, geez, a year and a half since I've been actually on the deck, you know? When you go on stage, what's the old show business phrase there? Everybody says, break a leg. I said, break theirs, man.
Well, here I'm rolling down another sunny highway, beating the
Eat 'em and Smile time. We're going on the road, the biggest production in the history of rock and roll, and it's all for you out there. Yeah, we're gonna start in the United States, and we're going to all the little places as well as the gigantor cities, you know. United States is not just Los Angeles, Dallas, and New York. It's everything else in between as well, you know. And I couldn't get the last band to travel to a lot of these little places, and those are my best memories, is what happened in the little places in the United States and otherwise. And we're going on the road probably for 10 months to a year. I say probably because it'll probably be longer. I'm gonna do everything come off of the Crazy from the Heat EP, all the new stuff from Eat 'em and Smile, which is all rock and roll, and all your favorite Van Halen hits, because I wrote half those tunes. Not half of not of all the songs, only half of the songs that I write. Every Van Halen song that you ever heard up till lately, I wrote half of. So, you know, when you hear my voice singing, it's not really singing, you know? So it's like, when I heard the news, baby, all about your disease. What do you call that? You know, it's certainly not poetry. There's a lot of different ways to approach rock and roll, you know? And live is what I was born for, you know? It's just exciting to be surrounded with people who really want to rock 'em and roll. And it is a group. That's the essential part. And that's the fun part, is that it's a gang. Some people say, Dave, isn't it kind of like a family? No, it's like a roving youth gang, and you're invited. You know, I keep hearing and reading about at the Van Halen concerts, people are bringing in signs or people are yelling something about Dave. Well, you know, when we did our show, I saw plenty of that out in our audience, you know, about, you know, the international logo where it says Van Halen and a big slash through it and that kind of thing. I don't bring that up. I don't put that in my videos. I'm not gonna drag that up on my stage for you. This is supposed to be rock and roll. This is supposed to be a good time. It's supposed to be fun, man. And I'm not gonna drag that element into my show, but I keep being reminded of it again and again and again. And a lot of that reason is I think somebody should just shut up and enjoy themselves at some point in time. My philosophy on life right now, particularly after everything that's happened in the last 6, 8, 10 months, you know, it's happened with the band, it happens with a movie, it's Here Comes the Road, here's the new band, and I'm back on MTV, you know, and that kind of thing. My whole attitude is one of great expectations, man. Clear the deck, boys. I'm coming in.